Donnie and Dolly, the team is supported by ableauctions.ca. Closing your business? We can help.
You telling me that wouldn't get a crowd pumped up at Rogers Arena?
No, it wouldn't. So
they should try it. It would be better than a lot of the music they play at Rogers.
Yeah, well, if I want to fall asleep, I'm listening to this.
Okay. I'm sure
So
John
this jacks you up? Really?
Okay, Rick, we're having fun here.
I know,
okay,
but I'm just no. I thought you had. I thought you were serious. My goodness.
Well,
I thought you were serious. Like, this thing puts me to sleep.
But throw this in once in a while. I don't know.
No.
This is on Donnie's workout playlist, actually.
Oh, it is. Yeah, along with Sam Spence.
Like, how do people watch this? Like, I don't get it.
John Shannon joins us now, NHL analyst, a big opera fan, co-host of the Bob McCown podcast. John, how are you, sir?
For the record, I'm never taking Rick to Broadway. I'm not.
Hey.
I'm not going to take him to Broadway. By the way, your stories about the Pittsburgh Civic Arena, which was its official name.
Yeah, that's right.
Before they sold the rights to Mellon Bank. When it was 12,000 people, so before the NHL got there, it truly was designed to open for the Philharmonic and the Opera, and they would have fireworks. They would have fireworks displays over downtown Pittsburgh as well. So, because if you remember, Donnie, and you were there, the arena is located on the side of a hill, so you could actually, when they opened it, see downtown Pittsburgh and see the fireworks. The problem was when they started to renovate and added more and more seats, they ended up adding about 7,000 more seats, 6,000 more seats for hockey. They couldn't open it anymore. Yeah. So they had to make a compromise.
Yeah. Maybe the worst dressing room I've ever been in Pittsburgh. Just awful. Just terrible. And that's saying something, because despite what you might think, there's some bad ones.
Anybody that says they missed the Pittsburgh Civic Arena?
Lying.
Nah, I'm not so sure.
Yeah. Hey, John, speaking of the Penguins, what are you hearing about the Penguins' rumored sale to the Fenway Group, and does it make sense for all parties involved?
Well, I mean, I think it does for John Henry, who is the primary shareholder of the Fenway Group, and you guys talked about Liverpool and where they're going. It does make some sense. They're trying to expand their base of operation in multiple sports. The Penguins are an amazing story. And by the way, Mario's not selling. When this thing comes down, Mario's still part of it. Oh, really, what he's buying is majority interest Ron Burkle's portion, and that's really quietly been up for sale, I think, for around 3 years. Even before the pandemic, there was discussion that Burkle wanted out. Mario never wants out, and wants to be part of it and maintain some sort of role. But in the end, it's Ron Burkle, the billionaire out of California, that wants to sell his share.
Yeah, and we mentioned the numbers before. It would be for a tidy profit. Yeah. The question, one of the questions that's coming up, there are a lot of questions coming up with the Canucks right now, but one of them is, do they need a president? Do they need a team president right now, a buffer between owner and GM? They had one with Trevor Linden. How crucial do you think that position is, not just for the Canucks, but any team in the NHL these days?
Well, it really depends on how internally they view the line of communication. You know, if you analyze different teams, for instance, Columbus, they have a president of hockey operations in John Davidson. They have a president of business in Mike Priest, and both of them report to the McConnell family. But in the end, John is allowed to do what's best for hockey, and Priest does everything else within the business. I've always thought that with the appointment of Michael Doyle as the CEO of the Canucks, that there was a bigger role for Doyle in all this, and that he became the buffer between the organization as a whole and the Aquilini family. That was always my understanding, is that Michael, with his background with the family and with the organizations and all the different companies he's worked for at Aquilini Sports, that he was then taking a little bit of that expertise and his expertise of working at Maple Leaf Sports and Entertainment, and being a bit of that buffer for the rest of the organization as well.
John, are you hearing any names for president of hockey operations? I'm hearing it's not imminent, like it's going to take a while if they do hire someone. It might be down the road. Jim Rutherford's name was popped up a couple of days ago over the weekend. I even heard Dale Talon's name a couple of days ago, just in passing. There's no substance to it, but just heard his name a couple of times. Have you heard any names connected to Vancouver?
No, because I think you touched about it in the previous segment, Rick. I mean, I do think there's a lot of patience involved right now. I
agree.
And I think that I think there's a lot of people in the organization that still need to be convinced of what is supposed to happen. I've heard stories that people are taking sides and this and that.
Yeah.
There's only one side that needs to worry about, and that's the side of the family. And right now, I don't think that there's really a conviction that something has to happen imminently. Now,
right.
As you guys talked about, if they don't beat Montreal and beat Ottawa, because they're both winnable games, then and they go 0-5 or 0-4-1, then I think that we're gonna light another torch.
Yeah.
But the biggest issue is, and I know you guys talked about moral victories, but the biggest issue was on that road trip, what I will describe as the 19-6 road trip. It looked like they weren't even trying. It looked like they had given up, but I don't think that was the case for any of those 3 home games last week, and I think that that's a big difference.
So many trade rumors have already started, John. There's so many things you're hearing every day on the Canucks, on and off the ice. What's your feeling about this organization?
Well, let me ask you one question, Rick, because I think that's a really key point. If you have lost confidence in Jim Benning, if you think it's imminent that Jim Benning's gone, and I'm not suggesting that at all. In fact, I might be suggesting the other way. Would you allow him to make a trade?
That's it.
And the answer is, if there is movement from this roster, and by the way, the turnover on this roster, I mean, you guys had the lineup up. The turnover from this roster from last year to right now, boy, oh boy, it takes time for teams to gel. There's enough change on that roster that you have to wonder, have the fans, have the organization, has management, has the coaching staff given this group enough time to gel as a team? Because what is there, 9 or 10 different
11,
guys on that
11.
roster? Mm-hmm. Well, I mean, gosh, if you have that many changes, it's not going to happen overnight.
Right.
It really isn't.
The other thing that's happened with the Canucks, John, and a lot of people, not just the Canucks, are surprised at this, is just how strong the Pacific Division has been, at least in the early going. Of course, the strongest team so far, number 1 in the Western Conference, is the Calgary Flames. We had Kelly Rudy on yesterday to talk about the Flames. He was glowing about them. They win again last night against the Hawks. What do you see? What's going right with that team?
Well, it's the long arm of the law. Yeah. It's Daryl's way or no way at all, and people have bought in. I mean, people understand it, and I actually think that Daryl has changed a bit too, because 5 years ago he would not have played and used Johnny Gaudreau and Andrew Mangiapane as forwards to be forecheckers. They would have had to be 6 inches taller. The fact that Gaudreau and Mangiapane have become such important cogs for Daryl Sutter's team tells you that he's adapted to, and that the world of the Daryl Sutter forecheck has changed. And then you combine that with what Jacob Markstrom and Dan Vladar have done in goal. That's a pretty good equation to keep a team physical. I mean, everything's working in Calgary right now. Milan Lucic has reinvented himself and playing very well and become the ultimate team player. And getting plaudits for it. There's a lot of things going the right way for Daryl Sutter, and what he's done is he's kept it simple, he's direct with his players, and it's working.
John, Thanks for this. We'll talk to you next Thursday next week.
And Donnie, I will take you to Broadway. Rick will have to stay at the hotel.
Yeah. Okay.
I'll go to some other establishments.
Well, we know that.
I'm sure you would,
Yeah.
Rick.
Yeah,
I'm sure you would.
Yeah. I'll
Thanks,
leave it,
John.
I'll leave it at that.
Appreciate it. I've never been to a Broadway play.
I'm not going to the opera. I mean, are you kidding me?